Finally, SpaceX is testing their new Starship Droneship. The recovery of the booster is one of the most crucial aspects in SpaceX's mission to reuse its space hardware. That's why SpaceX plan to land rockets on giant drone ships to avoid losing the booster and transporting them back from sea to land. After numerous successful landings and booster recovery missions, a huge and reliable drone ship has become a critical component in SpaceX's vision of making space travel inexpensive. SpaceX also recently added another drone ship to the ones they already possess. In today's video, we explore more of SpaceX's incredible new drone ships. But before we dive into the new SpaceX drone ship, we need to investigate why it has taken so long to get a reusable rocket and why landing a rocket on a drone ship is extremely difficult. To begin with, when floating on the sea, a drone ship or barge is insignificant in comparison to the total amount of land accessible for boosters to land on if they made it back to Florida. The fact that the drone ship can be thrown around in the sea more than 300 kilometers off the shore adds to the dilemma. As a result of the booster's size and the drone ship's instability, the boosters may miss the drone ship and crash into the water, making recovery difficult or impossible. The landing process is just as extremely complicated. When SpaceX first attempted to land a rocket on land, a number of things went completely wrong, with many boosters exploding into flames. At first, this was extremely dangerous, considering some of the boosters exploded mid-air before reaching the landing destination. But over time, SpaceX was able to land their boosters successfully on land. Apart from that, SpaceX has compelling reasons for preferring a sea landing for its boosters, one of which being fuel. Fuel is an important part of any mission, since engineers must balance carrying enough of it while keeping the rocket light and manageable. As you may expect, the Falcon 9 rockets are massive, weighing more than 500,000 kilos, thus fuel is essential. When launching the rocket, it requires a lot of fuel at this stage so as to propel it at high speeds, depending on the destination aimed, and about 70% of the fuel in the boosters being consumed. When the booster returns, the rocket must slow down from over 1,000 kilometers an hour to 0 to enable landing without crashing. This is accomplished by reigniting the engine, which necessitates the use of fuel. The fuel comes from what's left of the initial launch, which is frequently used to enhance the re-entry and landing stage. This is when things start to get interesting. For example, if you launched a payload into low orbit, you'd have more than enough fuel for the landing. If the mission was to go beyond Earth's orbit though, because you must launch faster, it requires more fuel at this stage. This means you won't be able to land due to a lack of fuel. This will be a major setback for SpaceX's aim of recycling its boosters, as the company plans to fly missions to Mars that will necessitate a large amount of fuel to achieve the requisite launch speed but insufficient fuel for landing. However, with the help of geography, there is a way out of this dilemma. When SpaceX launches from Florida, the rocket will fly east over the Atlantic Ocean, and on the re-entry of the side boosters, they will directly be headed for the Atlantic Ocean, reducing the amount of fuel required by not having to return to the launch site due to the shorter distance. This means that for more venturous launches, the boosters should land at sea. To preserve fuel for landing on land, SpaceX would have to lower the payload for Falcon 9, which would result in a revenue reduction of up to 40%, according to Musk's tweet. Recovery and refurbishment charges would add another 10%. So, what is SpaceX's motivation now to land and reuse its rocket boosters? Cost saving is the driving force here. SpaceX is looking to cut costs on its missions, and repairing a rocket saves time and money compared to creating a new one. So after 2 flights, SpaceX claims to save a lot of money in the process, claiming that a rocket could even fly more than 100 times. If this is achieved, it could profit SpaceX a lot, since even the initial and maintenance costs will be recovered after that many flights. Interestingly, Musk was reacting to a tweet from the United Launch Alliance, which claimed that for reusability to make economic sense, a booster needs to fly 10 times, despite being in the same industry. This illustrates the economic differences between the two companies. Landing at sea and retrieving the rocket boosters there would not be conceivable without the quiet heroes that are SpaceX's barge or drone ships. There were 2 drone ships in operation until a third joined this year, all having unique names: I Still Love You, Just Read the Instructions, and A Shortfall of Gravitas. You're undoubtedly wondering what the hell those names mean. Elon Musk, the CEO of SpaceX, is a huge science fiction fan. For this reason, he called his company's future Mars-bound spaceship Heart of Gold. These colossal drone ships are each the size of a football pitch. The first drone ship, which was last used in 2015, supported launches from Florida by operating on the east coast of the United States, but it has since migrated to the west coast of the United States. The autonomous drone ship is a modified barge with a big landing platform with a giant SpaceX logo. Its construction, which began in 2015, was intended to be a replacement for the original Just Read the Instructions. Of Course I Still Love You was upgraded in Louisiana shipyard with an additional deck to improve the landing platform size. It features 4 thruster engines that allow it to move around on its own. Of Course I Still Love You can keep a positioning precise of 3 meters, even in a storm, as Musk said. It also includes a blast shielding to safeguard electrical and engineer equipment on board. Another autonomous drone ship, Just Read the Instructions, with its very peculiar name, is SpaceX's original experimental barge. This barge, which was used to retrieve rockets launched from the Vandenberg Air Force Base in California, has since been relocated to Florida. Just Read the Instructions has 4 thruster engines in the corners to ensure that it is not swayed away when the rocket boosters are about to land, which are also evident in Of Course I Still Love You. It also employs GPS to position itself with a 3-meter accuracy, as well as cameras and other sensors to collect data for analysis. A series of antennas are used to communicate with the incoming booster. Surprisingly, during the transmission of data, the uplink frequently cuts out due to the strong vibrations created by antennas moving so violently. Just Read the Instructions is the most recent deployed barge. It recovered the booster that sent the Inspiration 4 mission carrying civilian astronauts to space, which billionaire founder Jared Isaak then commanded. Both drone ships have an optic grabber that secures the booster after landing. The robot has 4 arms to attach to the octal web in the boosters and keep them from falling off or damaging. A Shortfall of Gravitas is the most recent addition to the fleet. In order to receive the booster rocket, SpaceX enlarged the deck and initiated a Shortfall of Gravitas shortly in 2018. Musk disclosed it was aboard more frequent flights out of Florida. It's an improvement over the existing drone ships because it's totally autonomous, which means it doesn't need to be dragged to a landing spot. A Shortfall of Gravitas can find its way into a seat position, retrieve the rocket, grab the rocket using the optic grabber, and return to land with it. A Shortfall of Gravitas does not have a bridge, windows, or a lookout due to its ability to work fully autonomously. As it could travel independently, it received a taste of booster recovery when it caught and hauled the rocket B-1061 on its way back from carrying a cargo Dragon spacecraft to the International Space Station for NASA. Musk plans to use an entirely new method to land the Starship's booster under construction by catching the boosters mid-air, utilizing a pair of giant grabbing arms attached to the lower tower. How cool is that? In the meantime, SpaceX has a lot of work to do with drone ships as the company prepares to ramp up its Starlink satellite deployment. And that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching. Have you seen the synchronous landing of the boosters? And how long do you think it will take before SpaceX develops a fully reusable spaceship? Comment below, let's engage. Also, if you are interested in more content like this, make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel. Goodbye and see you in the next one.